Hello, I'm Robin and I'm a normal alcoholic. What does an alcoholic or addict look like? Well, for the simple answer, look in the mirror. They could look just like you. But what I want to do with this video is challenge your preconceptions or misconceptions, the stereotypes about what an alcoholic looks like or what people think an alcoholic looks like. The reason I thought of this video is because I was thinking about kind of those typical images that we have, and there's two really that come to mind, and they're both at opposite ends of the spectrum. On one side, you've got the homeless guy, person begging in the street, or, guy drinking on a park bench, the down and out. But then at the other end of the spectrum, you've got like the Hollywood A-lister who's been partying too hard and, ends up in rehab and has to make a public apology. Now, it's mad because everyone is so familiar with these two images, but they couldn't be further from each other. They're like all the way over here and all the way over there. So that begs the question, what about all the people in between, the normal people? I mean, I've met an awful lot of people in recovery, and most of them haven't been homeless, and most of them haven't been celebrities or in the public eye. And also, kind of what's the turning point? When did that person on the street lose their job? What was the turning point between them being a functioning alcoholic and falling into that situation? Likewise, at the other end, at what point did that celebrity stop being a party animal and then being that public disgrace who has to make a public apology on the news? Now, alcoholics or addicts become very good at hiding what's going on. Most of the people I've met, if you kind of knew them, even when they were at the height of their drinking or using, a lot of it would be very secretive, and you wouldn't be able to recognize that they were an addict or alcoholic. For me, most of my friends and family didn't recognize any of the signs in me. In fact, it was only that one friend who recognized, and the only reason she saw it is because she'd experienced it in her family. She'd seen close family members go through it. In fact, the crazy thing is that even in my family, I had an uncle who was an alcoholic, but his behavior was so different to mine that none of my family recognized the signs in me. It was like, because I wasn't behaving in the way that he did, I wasn't an alcoholic in their eyes. I was just another guy who liked to have a drink at family dues, maybe more than most, but that was just the way I was. And this is the point I'm making. We're all individual, we're all unique. Our behaviors, our drinking patterns are all going to be different. So if we have those stereotypes in our mind, if we have an image of what we think an alcoholic looks like, we're not going to see it coming in ourselves. We're not going to believe that we have the same problem. We'll think, that's what an alcoholic looks like. That's the way an alcoholic behaves. I'm not doing that, so I'm fine. I mean, even people who, like me, have family members who are alcoholics, it's a bit of a cliche that there are a lot of people who say, oh, I grew up watching my mother or father suffer with alcoholism, and they say, I'll never become like that. But lo and behold, they'll show a lot of the same signs, but there'll always be those things in their mind that say, I'll never do that thing, or I haven't done that thing that my parent did, so I'm not like them. So if your views are homeless person, You'll think, well, I've still got my job. I still hang out with my friends. I don't beg on the streets. So I'm not like them. I'm not alcoholic. Or if your view is the celebrity, you think, well, I don't get photographed by the paparazzi at 2 o'clock in the morning when I roll out of a club looking like a horrible state. I've not done that. So again, I'm not the alcoholic. In fact, all you do is your own behavior continues and it gets worse. And you become what most people would call a functioning alcoholic. Whereas really you're a poorly functioning alcoholic or barely functioning alcoholic. What I want to move on to is kind of how we normalize our behavior. You know, there's, again, a lot of people say things like, oh, well, in my industry, there's a big drinking culture, so I just got wrapped up in it. But the thing is, I think at least in this country, it's not just your industry, it's the whole of society. You know, if it wasn't with your work colleagues, it's with your friends, it's with your family, it's at parties, it's at weddings, it's at christenings, it's at funerals, it's everywhere. No one does anything without a drink. I mean, the other day I was on holiday. Just walking down the street, and there was one of these summer kind of pop-up bars just in the middle of a park. I'm like, so this is just me on my Saturday relaxing in the sun, but I literally have to walk through a pub, a temporary pub in the park, but I've got to walk through it just to enjoy my day, and that's normal. So when we're so surrounded by alcohol in everything we do, we get stuck thinking that our behavior and our continuous drinking is normal. Yeah, it's crazy looking back, just thinking all these situations that you're surrounded by alcohol going, well, everyone else is doing it around me, so I'm fine. And once again, that brings us back to thinking, as long as I haven't hit one of these extremes of being in rehab, being homeless, then I'm okay. But you're probably not. Okay, I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm repeating myself because it needs to be said. People's preconceptions or misconceptions are some of the biggest things holding them back from getting the help that they need, from realizing that they have a problem, that what they're doing and how they're behaving isn't normal, stopping them from making the change that needs to be made. I never had a conversation with an alcoholic in recovery before I turned to recovery myself. If I'd spoken to someone and realized that they don't have to be the homeless person or the out of control celebrity, I would have thought, okay, so a normal person can be an alcoholic. Once again, that's why I kind of named the channel A Normal Alcoholic. It's to help people realize that we're all just normal people. Some of us just end up being alcoholics as well. Unfortunately, most people don't realize that until it's too late, or at least later than they could have realized. So if you think that you might have a problem, then check out some of my other videos, do the clicky stuff, like, subscribe, all that. But for now, bye.